Hello, learners. Now we will begin our part two of our session 5. Now we are entering into the domain of art and culture, right? Okay. So this is August month. We have done a lot of part-wise sessions. Now we'll be finishing our art and culture. So this is session 5. You all know the structure we are maintaining. Okay. So in the art and culture, the first thing we're going to discuss is some GI tags. We're going to discuss. First is Kadaknath chicken. Kadaknath chicken. Okay. So it's a GI tag from MP. It's also known as the Kali Masi is the local breed. So it's a chicken, right? It's mostly reared by the Jabua tribe. Jabua tribe. It is also the place of the name is also Jabua. You can see the location also in MP, the border with the Gujarat. I think we are doing so many locations, not only in the location part, but also in international relations and different parts. So it will improve your geography location perspective as well. Okay. So granted GI tag by the government. So it is known as the Kali Mase unique chicken breed. So a unique chicken breed that is black in the color. Not only the meat is black, but also most of the organs are also black. The bones are black too. The blackness is not limited to it. In fact, the eggs are also black. So it's very different in a tribal dominated Jabua district. Okay, after a legal battle with the Chhattisgarh. Okay, so this is Kadaknath chicken. Remember, legal battle with the Chhattisgarh. Okay, so benefits of the Kadaknath chicken, obviously it promotes vitamins. Some vitamins are there: healthy eyesight, regular menstruation, fertility. The cost is also high. Okay, and currently it is in news because IFA, it happened in Indore, I think, and Kadaknath chicken was given to the people to eat. Okay, IFA, IFA awards. Okay, next is Kandamal Haldi. Kandamal Haldi. So Kandamal Haldi is from the Odisha. So Kandamal, the name is Kandamal. It's in the Odisha. You can see the location here in Odisha. It's famous for its healing property. Actually, if you know turmeric, right? So Haldi means turmeric. So turmeric is also having some medicinal property, but this particular turmeric has more properties. It's a golden yellow spice named after the district where it is produced, right? Okay. So exclusive haldi. So on the foundation day, Odisha receives GI tag for the this particular Kandamal haldi. So foundation day is 1 April 1936. Not too much to remember, just for your awareness. It calls Utkal Divas. Recognition coincided with the state of the foundation way Utkal Divas. It was carved out as a separate state in the British India on the linguistic identity, not in independent India, in the linguistic India. Okay. Okay. Next is Shahi Lychee. Shahi Lychee, if you know, lychee is very famous in maize production is done in Bihar. So Shahi Lychee is a big size lychee, so gets GI tag. Is famous for its sweet, juicy, unique flavor and aroma. It is mostly grown in the Muzaffarpur. So Muzaffarpur is in Bihar. Muzaffarnagar is in. I also was confused, but I checked it out. Muzaffarnagar is in UP. Muzaffarpur is in Bihar. So got GI tag, minimize the fear of fake, and the obviously the purpose of GI tag we already know. Bihar produces 40% of the lychee grown in the country. Also the GI tags, but don't have to remember those. If you want to see what Katrani rice, I've not taken up this because these are old GIs. We are taking only the GIs in the past 2 years. Okay, so Muzaffarpur Shahi Lychee gets the GI tag. This is the location of Muzaffarpur. Okay. Next is Marayur Jaggery. Jaggery means in Hindi it we call gur. So Mayayur Jaggery, you can see special gur they are forming. So Jaggery is produced in the Mayur town in the Idukki district in Karnataka. In Kerala, sorry. Idukki district in Kerala. It's made from sugarcane and no chemicals are added during the manufacturing process. No chemicals are added in making this particular jaggery. Next is so Mayur jaggery in the Idukki district. Next is Areca nut. Areca nut. Areca nut, it gets first GI tag for its Sirsi Supari. That means this particular nuts, they're the first GI tag attached to this type of nuts. Okay. And the name of the place is Sirsi Supari. Sirsi Supari place you need to know. It's a Karnataka has got the GI tag. Okay. Karnataka has got the GI tag. Sirsi Supari Gun Uttar Kannada has received the GI tag. It is cultivated in some district. Uttar Kannada you need to remember. No need to remember the district. Sirsi, obviously you will remember Sirsi is the place also. So you need to know the location of Uttar Kannada. So Uttar Kannada is the coastal Kannada area. This is Karnataka, right? So in the Karnataka, this particular area is known as the Uttar Kannada. If you see some of the properties, okay, so it has a unique features like round, flattened coin shape, particular texture is there. Okay, it has a unique taste due to difference in the chemical composition also. Okay, total carbohydrate is this. Don't have to remember this, but just to the reinforcing the fact that this particular thing is from the Karnataka Areca. So what are the GI itself? So we have done, we have read about so many GIs till now. In the last month also I've covered so many GIs. So what are basically GIs? GIs are, we have an act for it, GI, Geographical Indication of the Goods Registration as Protection Act 1999. It is defined under also the TRIPS agreement, WTO TRIPS agreement. It is defined there. Okay. So Darjeeling tea is the India's first GI. We already know that, and there are so many GIs in India. So many. For current affair perspective, you just need to know 1 year or at max 2 year of GI that are important. So we have done this year also. We have done past year also. If any are left out, we'll cover that also. Okay. So GIs are primarily an agricultural or natural manufactured product originating from definite geographical territory. At international level, GI is governed by WTO's TRIPS agreement. We have done that, and we have the particular legislation for it. Next is Adarsh Smarak scheme. Okay, Adarsh Smarak scheme. So this particular is from the Ministry of Culture, launched in 2014 for providing improved visitor amenities, especially for the physically challenged. Okay, a total of 100 monuments protected by the Archaeological Survey of India. Archaeological Survey of India will cover this particular institution somewhere down the line, are being developed and maintained under the Adarsh Monument scheme. Okay, so the features, you have very subjective features, right? Uh, so making monument visitor friendly, upgrading the infrastructure, audio, visual, or these things, very easy. So this Virupaksha temple got the Virupaksha temple got the Adarsh, gets the Adarsh scheme tag. So about this Virupaksha temple, some things, located on the south bank of the river Tungabhadra, devoted to Lord Shiva. Virupaksha temple, if you remember, the Vijayanagar Empire time, right? So Ministry of Culture has chosen Hampi and other monuments to grant Adarsh Smarak. So Adarsh Smarak we have already done. So Virupaksha temple is a part of the group of monument in the UNESCO World Heritage Site also. So it's a cultural World Heritage Site. In the ecology, we have discussed Kanchenjunga, right? It's a cultural, is a mixed site. Okay, we'll try to cover the one of the temples also. Slowly we'll try to cover many of the temples also here, especially in the next video itself. I'll cover in detail about this Virupaksha temple, because the UPS is also asking about specific temples. Now Modiyattu. So Modiyattu is an intangible World Heritage Site. Okay, it's from Kerala. Okay, from the photo you can see resemblance with some resemblance you can see with Kathakali, some resemblance. Modiyattu included in 2010 in the intangible, not tangible, intangible World Heritage Site of UNESCO. Really important, huh? Whatever the mention in the intangible World Heritage Site is really important. Okay, the traditional ritual theatre Modiyattu is a folk dance and drama performed in the state of Kerala. Okay, it depicts a mythological tale of battle between goddess Kali and the demon Darika. So remember, it's a ritual art. It's a ritual art. Okay, traditional ritual art. Dance is performed by in the village's temple called Bhagwati Kuas in between February and May, between the harvesting season. You don't have to remember this. This much fact is relevant. If the Modiyattu comes, this much you need to remember. Okay, so performers do wear a heavy makeup. From the photo itself it's clear. In art and culture, art and culture, pictures are really important. Otherwise you will only cram and you will not be able to reproduce into the examination. You have to cram a lot. It will occupy a lot of your memory space, uh, and that is why I'm here, right? To make your job easy, for especially with respect to art and culture. So performers do apply heavy makeup and wear gorgeous attire with the conventional tactical painting, tall headgear, etc., to give a touch of supernatural. Mutual cooperation, collective participation of each caste is there. strengthen their common identity and bonding. So there has been a move to popularize because obviously the youth is not getting too much attention, is losing a grip among the younger generation. If you see, it's losing the grip on the younger generation, and that is an issue. Okay, next is this is Kodiyattam. This next photo is, this resembles more like Kathakali. If you see Kathakali facial, I'll try to cover it somewhere. So Kathakali facial, it's resemble more, right? Kodiyattam. It is Kodiyattam. You can see it is performed more in a formal setting. You can see there, right? So these are the context I'm setting you for Kodiyattam. So Kodiyattam is basically a Sanskrit theatre, a formal, relatively formal than the Modiyattam. Included in 2008, it is also in the Kerala. So both of them from Kerala. It is combined dance drama conducted by the Chakyars, a subcaste among the Hindu who play the male caste traditionally in the state of Kerala. The women of Nabiyar caste play a female role. The performance lasts from 6 to 20 days. Okay, so just one second. Few more things. This instrument is also important. So this instrument is known as Mizhavu. Okay, they are mainly enacted inside the temples, and theme is based upon the Hindu mythology. Sanskrit is there, so obviously some Hindu mythological tales will be there. A character Vidushak explains in simple Malayalam the background of the story and gives a life image of the character in the minds of the audience. Okay, all the other character performs using Sanskrit. So remember, starting is done obviously if you are addressing the Malayali crowd, because in Kerala Malayalam is the main language, right? So if you are addressing the Malayali crowd, then you have to introduce it by Malayalam, right? Otherwise, the whole act and play is in Sanskrit. So this is Kodiyattam. So this is the instrument that is being used. Okay, before starting the two things, I want to tell you the trick how you should remember it. Now we have done two, Modiyattam and Modiyattu and Kodiyattam. Both are from Kerala. So there's a tendency to get confused. So you can remember, you can make small stories like Modiyattam. Modi means from Modi, small stories that may be as absurd as anything. Modi to Moody. And one is moody. One is moody when he does a ritual theatre, not a Sanskrit theatre. It's a formal setting. So one cannot be moody in that, right? So when someone is moody, that is Modiyattu, then it is a ritual theatre. And if it is a ritual theatre, it cannot be a Sanskrit theatre. So that immediately goes to show that Kodiyattam is a Sanskrit theatre and Modiyattu is a ritual theatre. Okay. Now we come to some philosophy. I've promised you that I'll be covering some of the philosophical schools every discussion. So we have already done yoga school. Now I'll be covering Sankhya. This particular class I'll be covering Nyaya and Vaisheshik school. So coming to Nyaya school. So Nyaya school is Nyaya school is basically a school related to the logical thinking. So the school says they believe in the technique of the logical thinking to achieve the salvation. They consider the life, death, and salvation to be like mysteries that can be resolved through only through logical and the analytical thinking. Now, if you know the Aristotelian logic and all the syllogism that we do, all the syllogism can be found in the Nyaya school. Really, really deep understanding of the logics is presented in the Nyaya school. Okay. Furthermore, they argue about acquiring the real knowledge can only lead to accurate salvation. You see, all the philosophical school wants us to achieve salvation, the moksha, especially Indian philosophical, especially the Indian orthodox school. This is an orthodox school. Okay, orthodox school of Indian philosophy. That means it accepts the authority of the Vedas. Right? So achieving the salvation, they produce a path of the logical reasoning, logical thinking to achieve salvation. And through real knowledge, one can only achieve the salvation. Okay. So as I telling you, the other school, for example, we have done yoga school. So they focus on meditation and contemplation as a means to salvation. Nyaya school, logic and analytical capability. When we'll read about Vaisheshik school in this class only, they will talk about atomic building blocks of the consciousness. And that is where the difference between Nyaya and the Vaisheshika will come. And we'll discuss about that in detail. Don't worry. So Nyaya believes that Nyaya focuses on how we get knowledge. Just one second. Nyaya focuses on how we get knowledge. Okay. So they say there are four means to get the knowledge. Because why to get knowledge? Because knowledge is a path to salvation. So how to get the knowledge? Getting the knowledge, there are four ways. First is perception, that is what we see. Comparison, inference, and the world of the reliable source, that is called the Vedas. The what is written in the Veda itself is a form of knowledge. You don't need perception of what is written in the Vedas. It is written in the credible source, then it is true. So these are the four means according to Nyaya school. Okay. So school of thought was supposed to be founded on the Gautam Rishi, who has been authenticated as the author of the Nyaya Sutra. They argue that by using the logical tools like inference, hearing, and analogy, a human being could verify the truth of the proposition or a statement. For example, so there is a big statement that they use in their whole philosophy. So, if there is a fire in the jungle, there is because there is an emission of the smoke, everything that emits smoke has a component of the fire in it. That means if a person if a person is there and there is a hill, okay, and he sees smoke around the hill, he sees smoke around the hill, okay, so he says that I can see the smoke, so there must be some fire there. Okay, so wherever there is a fire, there is a smoke. So from seeing the smoke, he can infer that there is a fire in the hill, right? And this is some sort of logic that the Nyaya school wants to create. A disclaimer, you don't have to read the whole philosophy because that will go into the arena of philosophy. Right? You just need to know what is relevant for you from prelims and mains perspective, especially from prelims perspective. And this much is important. So you understand, I think. So this person has seen not the fire, it has seen only the smoke. But from logical thinking, he knows that the smoke will come only and only if there is a fire. Okay? If there is a fire, there is a smoke. So he will see a smoke and he will infer that there is a fire in the hill. Okay? Okay, so on the concept of God, what their views on the God? So they argue that the creation of the universe was through God hand. So they believe in the idea of God. Okay, so Nyaya is a theistic school. It's a theistic school. They also believe that the God not only created the universe but also sustained and destroyed it. The philosophy constantly strengthens they talk about God, but their main focus is towards the, as we discussed, on the logical thinking. So they don't talk about much about God, they much talk about the logical thinking. Right? Now we talk about the Vaisheshik school. First of all, Nyaya and Vaisheshik school are considered as the sister philosophies. They are considered in the same breath. We'll see how. First, Vaisheshik school. So Vaisheshik schools believes in the physicality of the universe. So they consider it to be realistic and objective philosophy that govern the universe. They talk about the atoms. We'll see how. So the founder is Kannad. Just like Gautama is considered with Nyaya, Kannad is considered with the Vaisheshik. You can make a code also. So GK, right? Logical reasoning, GK, and GK is Gautama and Kannad. So Kannad, who wrote that basic text governing the Vaisheshik school, is often considered as the founder of the school. They argued that everything in the universe was created by the five main elements. So five main elements we all know, Panchabhut, right? That is fire, air, water, earth, and sky. These material elements are also called the Dravyas. These are called Dravyas. They also argue that reality has many categories like action, attribute. This much you don't have to remember. Just this Dravyas, these atoms you need to remember. So they believe that the atoms have come together and formed the reality. And that is why their philosophy is also known as the Parmanuvad. Parmanuvad. Parmanu means atom. Atom means Parmanu. This school has a very scientific approach and developed the atomic theory. All the material objects are made of atom. Okay, that is why their approach is said to be atomistic school. Now you can see atoms, right? And that is why many people see that the basis of physics, modern physics, can be seen in the Vaisheshik school because they talked about atom just before this Rutherford and Bohr's model, all these came. So they explain the phenomena of universe by arguing that the atom and molecule combine to make the matter, which is the basis of everything that is physically around to be seen. This school was responsible for beginning of the physics in the Indian subcontinent. Okay, so this is Parmanuvad. They're considered to be the propounders of the mechanical process of the formation of the world, because many believe that the god has formed the world. Now Vaisheshik school says no, this is a mechanical formation of the world. They also believe that ultimately they get to the idea of god actually. So it is this, they say that even though there is a scientific thinking, but they believe in the god considered as them guiding principle. They say it is the god who is ultimately responsible for the movement of these atoms, which helped ultimately to create the universe. They also believe in law of karma guiding this universe. Everything is based upon the action of the human being. We are rewarded or punished according to our actions. So they believe in the law of karma. Every orthodox school of Indian philosophy will believe in the law of karma. God decides the merit and the demerits of our action, and the man is sent to the heaven or hell accordingly. They believed in the salvation, which is in parallel to cessation and destruction of the universe, which is cyclic process decided by the wishes of the god. So they believe in the concept of God, though they are a scientific school. So we have done Nyaya and Vaisheshik school. Now I want to tell you a very basic fundamental difference between metaphysics and epistemology. This is axiology, this is in the ethical domain. Remember, we have a unit 5 in ethics, that is philosopher and philosophy around the world. So this is axiology. Difference between metaphysics and epistemology. Metaphysics talks about how reality is, what is real, how the universe is made, about these things. So you can see Vaisheshik school mainly talks about the metaphysics, that the world is made up of these atoms, about this atom have come at Parmanuvad. Whereas you can see Nyaya school talk about the epistemology a lot, how to gain knowledge, how we get the knowledge of what is the real. So Nyaya school focus on epistemology, and metaphysics is focused by the Vaisheshik school. And that is where Nyaya Vaisheshik school is considered as the sister philosophy. Though there are differences, right? However, they accept, Nyaya school more or less accept the metaphysics of the Vaisheshika school. What Vaisheshika school is saying with respect to Parmanuvad and all, Nyaya school subtly accepts it. And similarly, Vaisheshika school also accept the epistemology of the Nyaya school, mostly. Okay, so the differences, few differences, Kannad and Gautam. Time you can remember, Vaisheshik is relatively old, Nyaya is relatively new. Categories you don't have to remember, it's more philosophical. The sources of knowledge are there, but again you don't have to remember this. This will be too much going into the philosophical domain. Okay, here you can see approaches. So Vaisheshika school has more metaphysical approach, whereas Nyaya school has more epistemological approach, atomistic. Okay, so this is, you need to remember. Now coming to the fag end of our discussion, a Statue of Unity. So it was unveiled last year, dedicated to Sardar Patel. Everybody knows about it. Some of the facts: 182 meters, world's largest, on the Narmada Dam, on the river Narmada. So 300 crore project funded by mostly by the Gujarat government, with minor contribution from the central and the central PSUs. So this particular person, M.V. Sudhar, right? He is a Padma Bhushan winning, and he was the person who was the who conceptualized this particular thing. 33 months construction, twice the size of the Statue of Liberty, use of bronze, cement and steel. Okay, next is Kopeshwar temple. Okay, so Kopeshwar temple is basically, from the name itself, it's a Hindi word, Kopeshwar, that is the god is in fury, the god is furious, the furious Shiva. Okay, named after furious Shiva. Century-old temple survives the flood. So in the Maharashtra, it's a border of Maharashtra and Karnataka. This particular temple is situated. It is built in the 12th century. This is, you need to remember, it built in the 12th century, dedicated to Lord Shiva. Don't have to remember which king has made it, but just because that's not a very big dynasty, right? Just have to remember the 12th century. So some of the ancient story why God is furious. So you can see the location at the Maharashtra and the Karnataka border. Why God is furious? So basically the story of Sati, if you know, right? We have run Ambuchi Mela last time. Ambuchi Mela, remember, where the yoni of the Sati has fell, the sexual part of the goddess. So it is the story before that. So the Shiva was insulted by the father of the Sati, Mr. Daksha, her father Daksh Prajapati, and he was so furious, and You see, Lord Shiva was very angry at the death of the Sati, because Sati jumped in the Yagna fire. She jumped in the fire because Sati was humiliated that my father has humiliated Shiva. So and when she died, Shiva was very angry. So the name Kopeshwar Mahadev has come. Okay, so due to his this story, due to his anger, the whole world shaking and what the edge of destruction. So Lord Vishnu came into being, and Lord Vishnu, you can see Lord Vishnu came there and stopped Lord Shiva from destroying the world. So the name of Dhupeshwara was given to the Lord Vishnu. Dhupeshwara. These things won't come, just to make your so that you can reinforce the idea about this temple. If you have read this story, whenever you revise, the story will resonate in your mind and you will be able to remember more. Right. Next is Indus inscription. So not decipher, as obviously nobody has deciphered Indus inscriptions yet. One of the most enigmatic legacy of the Indus Valley civilization had not been deciphered due to the absence of bilingual text. Details: a majority of the inscription were written in the logographic by using the signs, and the symbols have been used, not by using the phonograms, and this is where the problem comes. Okay, claims a recent research paper, that is why it was in the news. So a lot of signs have been used instead of the speech sounding units. So these are the different scripts of Indus time, right? So new research shows the way to decipher the Indus script. So they are also trying to decipher all these things, but it still remains a bit of enigma. Okay, so we have come to an end of our discussion. Very short videos we are making. Before signing off, I will say just see the strategy, art and culture strategy session that we have recorded for our prelims master students, right? So please do see that strategy session, and you can, if you have facing problem in art and culture, you can connect with us on the number given below, and also the mail id you people have. Also please do revise from this particular source. It's really good if you're facing problem in art and culture especially, right? Okay, so we have finished this particular art and culture session. Now one session is only remaining, defense. See you in the next class. Thank you.